What if Anakin told Obi Wan and Ahsoka about Padme's pregnancy? Let's start the story during Revenge of the Sith. Padme just told Anakin that she's pregnant, and he's ecstatic. This is the happiest moment of his life, and he cannot wait to begin his family with the woman he loves. However, it all changes that night when Anakin has nightmares of her dying in childbirth, similar nightmares that he had of his mother, Shmi, that ended up coming true. He couldn't let this happen, not again. Anakin debated all night in his head what to do. Should he go to Palpatine for advice? Should he go to Yoda? Would the Grand Master be sympathetic and provide him with the answers he seeks? These were all good options and could potentially help. However, Anakin knew deep down that he should go to the people he cares about most in the galaxy, his master Obi Wan and apprentice Ahsoka. The next day he calls for Obi Wan to meet him in one of the temple's comm rooms. He does this, and shortly after Ahsoka arrives through a hologram from Mandalore. They both ask the reason for Anakin calling, and Skywalker tells them both that he needs their help. He thanks them for meeting, but tells them that they all share a secret that they have never explicitly talked about, Padme Amidala, and Anakin tells them both that his relationship with her is one of more than friends. He loves her, and they have been married since the beginning of the Clone War. Both Obi-Wan and Ahsoka have a surprised look on their faces. They deep down knew he and Padme were more than friends, but never expected them to be married. Obi-Wan tells Anakin that he knows, but he never said anything for his sake, that he is his friend and will always protect him no matter what. But Anakin tells them there is more to it. He asks Kenobi to remember back when his mother died, how he told him that he had nightmares of her dying, but didn't act on them for months, and when he did, Anakin found her in the exact state as he saw in his dreams. He lowered his head and tells them both that he's having similar nightmares now, but of Padme and their unborn child, both dying in childbirth. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are visibly shocked. Padme is pregnant with Anakin's child. They couldn't believe it. Ahsoka tells Anakin that they will support him in any way possible, and Obi-Wan puts his hand on his chin, telling them these nightmares have come at a tricky time, right when the war is about to end, with Darth Sidious soon to reveal himself. Ahsoka tells them that Maul said something similar, that the time for Darth Sidious's plan is now, and the destruction of the Jedi Order and Republic is imminent. But more interestingly, Maul planned the whole attack on Mandalore to draw Obi-Wan there because he believed he would bring Anakin with him. This was interesting information, and Obi-Wan mumbles that it's starting to make sense. Anakin asks if he thinks his nightmares are related, and Obi-Wan tells them that it cannot be a coincidence. He is the strongest Jedi there has ever been, and that gives him the power to decide whether the Jedi win this war or not. Maul wants Anakin on Mandalore, nightmares of his wife and child dying in childbirth, right when the war is coming to its climax. This cannot be a coincidence. This must be the work of Sidious. They all stand in silence, pondering their thoughts as Obi-Wan breaks the silence, telling Anakin that this is all too important to keep between them. The fate of the galaxy rides upon him completing his role as the Chosen One, and they must take this to the Council. Anakin tells them they can't. He'll be kicked from the Order for breaking the Jedi Code, but Kenobi tells him that he will defend Anakin to his last breath, and if they remove him for trying to save the galaxy and Jedi, then he will leave the Order as well. Anakin was happy with this, and Ahsoka asks if she should return to Coruscant, but Anakin tells her to bring Maul to justice, and he will see her shortly. Obi-Wan and Anakin meet with Yoda, Windu, and Plo Koon, and together tell them the truth about Anakin and Padme, his nightmares of her, similar to his mother, as well as them believing this is the work of Darth Sidious. The three couldn't believe the truth they revealed. Windu turning to Yoda, telling him that Anakin must be punished, immediately removed from the Jedi Council and potentially Order. But Plo Koon rebuts, telling them that the culmination of the Clone War is upon them. Removing Anakin for this would be foolish. Instead, they should support him and get to the bottom of his nightmares. Yoda had his hand on his chin, pondering both sides of the argument. He looks up at Anakin and tells him that breaking the Jedi Code doesn't matter for now, that he and Padme will have the Jedi support if she needs it when she gives birth. However, he suspects that she won't. He also believes this is the work of Sidious, as the fear of loss is the first step to the dark side. But he tells Anakin to trust in the Jedi Order, put faith in them, and in return, they will put their faith in Anakin. Obi-Wan and Anakin leave the meeting together, and Anakin is extremely happy. He had the support of the council, and they would even help him if Padme needed it in childbirth. But he also believed these visions were a fallacy, a ruse by the Sith in order to pull him to the dark side. Padme was going to survive, he was sure of it. That night, Palpatine invites Anakin to the opera, where he planned to seduce Anakin to his side. He told Anakin about Darth Plagueis the Wise, attempting to lure Anakin to the dark side with the power to save Padme. But Anakin's responses were not what Palpatine expected. He shut Palpatine down, telling him he doesn't believe Plagueis was real, that Palpatine was fooled into believing a child's bedtime story, that it wouldn't be possible for the evil Sith to have such a power, and that if the Jedi can't achieve it, there's no way the Sith could. Palpatine couldn't believe it, and it was the Jedi trusting Anakin that had cemented his loyalty to them. He wouldn't be tempted by the dark side, not anymore, and Palpatine now realized the truth. The Jedi have Anakin, and he's too far from his reach. After the opera, he contacts Grievous and tells him to leave Utapau, to bring his forces to Coruscant for another assault, that the time to defeat the Jedi is now. In the loneliness of his office, Palpatine knows the time has come. He has dreamt Anakin would be by his side when he did this, but no matter. He will complete the grand plan that the Sith spent 100 years coming up with, and he will do it alone. Palpatine executes Order 66, and the inhibitor chips activate in the brains of the clones. He orders them on Coruscant to storm the Jedi Temple, and they do so immediately. They caught the Jedi in the temple off guard before they could set up their defenses, and broke down the temple door to rush inside. Meanwhile, Palpatine tracked Order 66 across the galaxy, from commander to commander, as he relished in the death of the light side of the Force around the galaxy. Inside the temple, all the Jedi felt it at the same time, and the council rushed to meet. But shortly after, reports came in from the foyer that the clones have entered the temple and are gunning Jedi down. Windu leads the defense, giving out orders to the masters, Kenobi to the youngling quarters, Fisto and Kolar to the foyer, and he turns to Anakin, telling Skywalker that he has his trust. Sidious will come for him, and it's time to fulfill his duty. They split and begin defending the temple. Meanwhile, Palpatine arrives and begins cutting down Jedi. The foyer was easy, as the clones were by his side, and he was able to catch the Jedi off guard, whilst they were defending blaster bolts from the clones. His speed was intense, and he was a blur to any non-master watching. Palpatine cut down Sindralig, the battle master, with ease, while he was focused on Commander Oppo, and then he scorched Shaak Ti with Sith lightning, as she attempted to defend a group of younglings. He came into contact with Masters Kolar and Tin on their way to the foyer. He caught Kolar before he could ignite his blade, sending his crimson lightsaber through his mediastinum. Master Tin blocked the first couple of strikes, but he was unprepared for Palpatine's ferocity and fell to his blade. Meanwhile, Anakin is leading a group of Padawans to safety, training them on how to defend blaster bolts back towards the clones. Anakin felt sad during this. It was the 501st invading the temple, and he tried to reason with them, but knew something was wrong. They weren't their normal selves. Anakin led the Padawans to safety, while he went deeper into the temple. He encountered groups of clones, one by one, taking them out. He could feel Sidious was here. The dark side was strong, and the air stank of prophecy. Anakin reached out with the Force. He could sense Kit Fisto above him, and he tried to connect with the Master's mind to sense his situation. But before he could, Fisto's presence in the Force vanished. Anakin paused. Had he died? Did Sidious kill him? He reached out to the battle chamber, 4 rooms over, to feel Obi-Wan was there. He went to go join up with his master, but the same thing happened. His presence in the Force vanished. Anakin was worried now that Sidious had taken Obi-Wan out as well. Anakin started running towards him, and turned the corner to see a crimson blade coming directly for his face. Anakin ducked as the blade went storming past him. He turned and blocked the next 2 strikes that came towards him. This was it. This had to be Sidious. The moment was upon him. Sidious rushed at him, his hood covering his face, with Anakin on the defensive. He was calculating Sidious's attacks, and he saw blue lightning flickering from his fingertips, and pulled his blade up to block as it came soaring towards Anakin. But this was a distraction from Sidious, who quickly stopped the lightning and rushed from the side, swinging his blade in a wide arc. But Anakin predicted this move, stuck his hand out, and sent Sidious flying back with the Force. He flew through the air and banged against the far wall with enough strength to pull his hood back, revealing the face of Chancellor Palpatine. Anakin's eyes go wide in disbelief, and it all makes sense in that moment. The years of friendship, mentoring Anakin, was all in an attempt to get close to him and manipulate Skywalker to his side. But Anakin wouldn't let that happen. Palpatine came rushing forward as Anakin fought with an increased vigor. He now knew the Jedi were 100% correct. Palpatine was attempting to use him, and likely the source of his nightmares. He fought with the thought of Padme, Ahsoka, and Obi Wan in his mind, the people he loves, as he takes on the most dangerous Sith of all time. Their battle was glorious. Force techniques and weapons thrown at each other, lightsabers flung at blinding speeds, until it all came down to one fatal mistake. Palpatine stabbed his lightsaber at Anakin through his robe, thinking he had connected, but it went right through his cape, utilizing the opportunity. Anakin grabbed Palpatine's wrists and brought his saber forward, backhanded, to cut his arm off. He spun before Palpatine could do anything, and sent his sapphire blade crashing directly through Palpatine's chest, ending his life and completing his role as the Chosen One. Anakin sends a message out through the Force to the Masters in the temple that Sidious was defeated and to meet in the foyer. He could sense they were winning in the defense, and they grouped up in the temple foyer. Anakin was ecstatic to see Fisto and Obi-Wan were alive, and realized this must have been another ploy by Palpatine to get him off balance. They couldn't believe it when they saw the true identity of Darth Sidious as Chancellor Palpatine, and proclaimed that Anakin has fulfilled his role as the Chosen One. They geared up, ready to go to the Senate and meet up with Yoda, who's returned from Kashyyyk. But before they can, the Separatist forces come out of hyperspace in full strength and begin their bombardment of the planet. Windu looks at the other council members and declares that if they defeat Grievous now, then they will win the war. They all board their single-man fighters and make their way towards the battle above. The Republic forces around the planet engage the Separatists. Meanwhile, Grievous was confused. He was unable to make contact with Sidious, and therefore he didn't know the next stage of his orders. But little did he know, the enemy was coming for him. Anakin soared ahead of the other Jedi, the best pilot in the galaxy, and made his way through the battlefield. He dodged fire from both the Separatists and clones, who tagged his ship as a Jedi fighter, and made his way directly into Grievous' ship. The droid general was notified immediately, and attempted to trap Anakin on his way, and sent all of his droids to stop him. But Anakin, now empowered by the fact he has fulfilled his role as the Chosen One, broke through all of Grievous' traps and defenses until he made his way to the bridge. He stood off against the droid commander, the last obstacle in his way to ending the war. Grievous ignited his 4 blades as Anakin rushed forward. He dodged Grievous' initial blows to stab his blade at his torso, but Grievous' lower 2 sabers defended. Anakin went full attack mode, unleashing his Form 5 in all its might, whilst Grievous fought back just as hard. Anakin taunted Grievous, telling him Sidious was dead, he had killed him, and with his own death, the war would be over. Anakin pulled back and reached out with the Force, gripping Grievous and crushing the outer layer of his armor into his lungs and heart. The compression caused Grievous to scream out in pain, whilst Anakin capitalized, jumping forward and thrusted his blade through Grievous' human heart, killing him. With Grievous' death, the Separatist fleet above the planet was doomed to be destroyed, and the Confederacy of Independent Systems would lose the war. Anakin made his way back to the front of the temple, where he saw Bail Organa, Padme, Yoda, and other members of the Republic bureaucracy alongside them. But most importantly, some clones were there, which confused Anakin. But he landed, and Yoda told him that they had executed Order 65, which stopped the clones from attacking the Jedi, and the Grand Master congratulated Anakin on fulfilling his duty as the Chosen One. He thanked the Grand Master, and looked over his shoulder to see Padme. He rushed over and hugged her. He didn't care that anyone could see him. They had won the war, and finally after 3 long years, the fighting was over. Meanwhile, a couple of days later, when Ahsoka had returned to the temple with Maul in custody, Padme's water broke and she entered labor. Anakin, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka stood by her side, ready to act in case they were needed to save her life. But they weren't, and Padme successfully gave birth to Luke and Leia. Anakin sat next to Padme and looked upon his children's faces. With one glance, all the pain he had ever experienced vanished, and he knew he had made the right decision, trusting in the Jedi, and shudders to think what would have happened if he trusted Palpatine and joined the dark side. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka came over to hold the children as well. They couldn't believe how cute they were, and Ahsoka congratulated Padme and Anakin on beginning their family. Ahsoka couldn't care less that they had broken the Jedi code, and were happy her two friends were safe. Whilst Obi-Wan held Luke, he couldn't help but think back to a time when he envisioned a similar life to this with Satine, and wonders whether he should have taken her up on her offer to leave the Order and start their own family. Obi-Wan told Anakin he was extremely proud of him as he held Luke up in the air and proclaimed that his children will change the galaxy. He can already sense the power within them and no doubt will stir things up in the Jedi Order. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan leave Anakin and Padme to spend some alone time with their family. Meanwhile, a week later, Anakin stood in the center of the council chamber. They had debated fiercely back and forth about what to do with Anakin after he openly broke the Jedi code with his family. And after all this debate, they had voted 10 votes in favor of Anakin remaining in the Order, on the council and as a new Jedi Master, with only 1 vote in opposition. I wonder who that could have been. Comment who you think it was. Anakin bowed and took his seat, looking over at Obi-Wan, who was smiling back in his direction. Anakin had done it. He had trusted in his 2 closest friends, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, and they had led him to the truth. He had killed Count Dooku, Darth Sidious, and General Grievous, the pillars of the Sith, and had completed his role as the Chosen One. But he wasn't finished. He knew part of his role was to improve the Jedi Order, to steer it into the right direction, and knew that in time, when he became Grand Master, that would be something that he no doubt would achieve. Thanks for watching everyone. We're giving away a free mystery saber over at Fantasy Sabers with every order over $2.99. Our deluxe sabers are also heavily discounted at the moment, so check those out. We offer premium build quality and a wide range of cool effects and sound fonts. Our sabers are great for dueling, or whether you wanted to show them off to your friends. Don't miss out on this exclusive sale, and I'll see you all next time.